guys, it is Wednesday and that calls for a new copycat recipe. So today I'm sharing with you guys Copycat Outback Steakhouse Bread. If any of you guys have ever been to Outback Steakhouse, they serve this warm, delicious brown bread before your meal every time, and it is so good. And for the longest time, I've always wondered how they make it. So today I'm sharing with you guys how to make it. But anyways, if you are new here, I'd love to have you over at my channel. I post one of these copycat recipes every single Wednesday. So go ahead and subscribe down below the video, but now let's get on to making some bread. To begin this recipe in my electric mixer, if you don't have an electric mixer, you could just use a large bowl for this step. I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar along with 2 tablespoons of dry yeast and then 1.5 cups of warm water. This warm water is at about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. To activate the yeast, I'm just going to let this sit together for about 10 minutes. Here we are, and now our yeast is activated about 10 minutes later. So now I'm going to add in our 1 egg along with our 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of honey, and then about 1.5 tablespoons of molasses. Next, I'll just be whisking this all together to combine. Now that that is thoroughly whisked, we're going to start sifting our dry ingredients. So the first thing I'm going to be sifting is our 1.5 cups of wheat flour right here in my little sifter. And then I'm going to be sifting in our 2.5 cups of bread flour. And then the last thing we're going to be sifting is our 2 tablespoons of Hershey's dark cocoa. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Now with my little hook gadget right here, I am just putting it on my mixer, and then I'm going to mix this together for about 10 minutes. If you don't have one of these hooks, you're just going to mix this together and then you're going to knead it for about 10 minutes by hand. This is about the consistency that I want our dough to be, just like this, not too stiff, not too doughy, just kind of like rubber bandy almost. But anyways, I'm just going to bring it over to my wooden cutting board right now. Now here we are at our cutting board, and I'm going to be separating this dough into 2 different dough balls, and then from there I'm going to make it into 2 different loaves of bread. So this is pretty much going to make 2 loaves of bread. Now that I have my 2 loaves of bread and they're looking the way I want them to be, I'm just going to be pulling out a plate right now, and on that plate I'm going to be adding a little bit of cornmeal to that plate, and then from there I'm going to dredge each of these loaves of bread into that cornmeal. Now that we are through dredging our bread in the cornmeal, I just pulled out my large cookie sheet right here, and I'm just going to pour some of this avocado oil right onto that cookie sheet. You're pretty much just wanting to grease a large cookie sheet at this point. Now that our cookie sheet is thoroughly greased, we're just going to be placing our 2 loaves of bread right on there, and then we are going to allow this dough to proof until it is doubled in size, approximately like 45 minutes to 1 hour. You do want these loaves of bread in a warm place. Here we are about 45 minutes later, and if I do say so myself, these things have doubled in size. They are huge at this point. So now I just preheated my oven to 380 degrees, and I just waited till that thing preheated, and then I just put them in the oven for about 15 minutes to bake. As you guys just saw, I just took this out of the oven, and here it is thoroughly cooked. This bread is all finished and ready to eat. I put a little bit of some butter on it just because I love my bread with butter. This bread recipe was super good, and it was pretty similar to the Outback Steakhouse bread recipe. If I were to make this recipe again, I think I would only add a tablespoon of molasses. I think the tablespoon and a half was just a little bit too much molasses, but despite that, this recipe was still amazing, and it really was similar to the Outback bread. I do suggest this recipe. And just like that, that wraps up today's copycat recipe. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and it wasn't too difficult, was it? But anyways, I'd love to have you over at my channel, so go ahead and subscribe down below the video, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.